The silent garden. The morning sun stretched softly across the old monastery. In the distance, a small garden shimmered with dew, its flowers gently swaying in the breeze. The air smelled of rain and new beginnings. Master Rio sat cross-legged by a pond, gazing silently at the ripples that danced across its surface. His student, Aki, approached quietly, burdened by invisible worries. "Master," Aki whispered, bowing deeply, "my heart feels empty. I have tried to find peace, yet nothing fills me. I give, I work, I search, but something within me always feels lacking." Rio opened his eyes and smiled with calm understanding. "Aki," he said softly, "sit with me and listen to the garden. It will teach you what words cannot." Aki obeyed, sitting beside his teacher. The garden hummed with life. Bees buzzed, leaves trembled, and the wind whispered through the bamboo. Slowly, his restless breath began to settle. "The garden outside," said the master, "is a reflection of the garden within. If you tend to it with gratitude, it will bloom endlessly. But if you forget it, weeds of longing will grow." Aki lowered his gaze, unsure of what those words meant. The lesson, he knew, had just begun. The seeds of thought. That afternoon, the master handed Aki a small pouch filled with seeds. "Plant these," he said, "but plant them with care. Each seed is a thought, and the soil is your mind." Aki began to dig small holes in the earth. As he worked, his thoughts wandered about failure, about the people who had hurt him, about the future that frightened him. When he finished, he looked at the master and sighed. "I have planted them, but my hands tremble. I fear they will not grow." Rio smiled gently. "They will grow," he said, "but what they become depends on the state of your heart. If you water them with doubt, they will wither. If you nurture them with kindness, they will bloom." Aki looked at the soil and realized the truth hidden in the simplicity of the act. His thoughts were not harmless. They were seeds, carrying life or decay depending on his intention. As the sun began to set, he bowed to the earth, whispering, "May what grows within me be beautiful." The weeds of desire. Days passed and the garden began to change. Some shoots grew tall and green, but others withered, choked by fast-growing weeds. Frustrated, Aki rushed to the master. "Why do weeds grow faster than flowers?" he asked. "I work every day, yet the weeds always return." The master looked at him with eyes full of patience. "Because weeds are born from neglect, not care," he said. "They feed on what you ignore. The same happens within you. Desires, doubts, and fears grow wild when you forget to tend your inner garden with awareness." Aki knelt before the garden and began to pull the weeds slowly, one by one. As he did, he noticed how their roots clung stubbornly to the earth, just as his worries clung to his mind. "It is tiring," he said. "Yes," replied the master. "But this is the path of awakening, to recognize what no longer serves you, and to remove it with compassion." Aki wiped the sweat from his brow. The garden was quiet again. For the first time, he felt a strange lightness in his heart. The rain of acceptance. The next morning, clouds gathered above the monastery. Rain began to fall softly over the garden, washing the earth clean. Aki stood under the eaves, watching the droplets merge with the soil he had tended. The master joined him, his robe damp from the mist. "See how the rain falls without choosing where to land," he said. "It nourishes the flowers and the weeds alike. This is the nature of acceptance." Aki watched the rain soak into the ground. "So even my mistakes are worthy of love?" Rio nodded. "When you stop rejecting your imperfections, they lose the power to hurt you. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the rain that softens the soil of the soul." Aki closed his eyes and let the rain touch his face. Felt like forgiveness, cool, quiet, and endless. When the storm passed, the garden shimmered with renewed life. The same drops that had soaked the weeds had also nourished the roots of the flowers. Within him, Aki felt something similar begin to bloom. Peace, the sun of gratitude. The following days were bright. The garden glowed with colors Aki had never noticed before. The deep green of leaves, the gold of sunlight through petals, the hum of life surrounding him. "Master," he said one morning, "I used to look at what was missing. Now I see so much beauty that I had forgotten to notice." The master smiled, turning his face toward the light. "Gratitude is the sun of the inner world," he said. "It reveals what was always there but hidden in shadow." They sat in silence as butterflies danced around them. Aki felt a warmth spreading in his chest, not from the sun, but from within. "When you give thanks," Rio continued, "you remind your heart that it already possesses abundance. Gratitude transforms scarcity into fullness." Aki looked around the garden, realizing it had always been beautiful. The difference was his vision, not the world, but the eyes that saw it. The mirror of stillness. As twilight approached, Aki returned to the pond. The surface was calm, reflecting the sky like a mirror. He could see his face among the drifting petals. For a long time, he simply watched. His mind was quiet, his breath steady. The master's voice came softly from behind him. "When the mind becomes still, the truth reflects itself naturally. You no longer need to search, you only need to see." Aki nodded slowly. He noticed how, when his thoughts stirred, the reflection blurred. When he breathed and let go, it became clear again. "The water teaches what no scripture can," said Rio. "Peace is not the absence of movement, but the presence of clarity." Aki bowed his head, whispering, "Then I will learn from the water." In that moment, the pond seemed infinite, a mirror not of his face, but of his soul. The dance of abundance. The garden had become a living symphony. The wind, the rustle of leaves, the buzzing bees, all moved in harmony. Aki worked joyfully, no longer to perfect the garden, but to celebrate it. When the master visited, he found his student humming softly. "Your garden has changed," Rio observed. Aki smiled. "I think it was never the garden that needed changing." The master chuckled softly. "Abundance does not come from possession, but from perception. You finally see that everything you sought has always been within you." Aki felt tears in his eyes, not of sadness, but of quiet joy. The flowers, the breeze, even the silence between sounds, all felt sacred. He realized that life was not something to control, but something to dance with. The blooming within. At dawn, Aki returned once more to the garden. The light was soft and golden, and the scent of earth filled the air. He knelt by a single flower, radiant with morning dew. "Master," he whispered, "I understand now. The garden is not outside of me. It is within. Every thought, every breath, every act of kindness. They are all seeds of my inner abundance." Rio placed a hand on his shoulder and smiled. "Then you have truly seen," he said. "The one who tends the inner garden no longer fears emptiness, for they know it is the space where beauty grows." The wind passed gently through the trees, carrying with it the fragrance of new blossoms. Aki closed his eyes, feeling the quiet fullness of life all around him, and within him, the garden of inner abundance had finally bloomed.